again. Go ahead. Uh-huh. Yes. Go from. Go again. Okay.
Good morning. It is so good to be
Okay.
with you, even if I can't be there in person. Happy Lent. We are in our first Sunday of Lent, and I am so glad to give you this sermon, even if it is over a video instead of in person. Lao Tzu once said, "A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step." So, this morning, I want to talk about my fitness journey. I started with one step in a new direction. I recently finished a program called Morning Meltdown 100, a program that encourages participants to come up with a morning routine that allows for a time to fill your cup before the day gets too crazy. When I first started the program, I thought, oh, this is great. I can start with 100 days left in 2022 and finish strong. Well, I was wrong. I had a very rough November, and there were weeks where I would only work out one day a week. But there was grace in the journey. And since the beginning of 2023, I haven't missed a workout day, and I have only missed one day of my whole wellness routine. What changed? I took the first step into 2023 with a new mindset about what it means to be on a whole wellness journey. Oftentimes, we look at Lent like a journey. The idea of a Lenten journey implies two things. The first thing is that there is movement. This is not a static sit down and contemplative event. Sometimes we think of Lent as a time to be introspective, a time of self-reflection, and of course there is some of that. But movement is also built into the season. We are walking with Christ, and Christ is on his way somewhere. And that brings us to the second implication of the season. We have a destination. This isn't just a random wandering in the wilderness, even though that's what it feels like sometimes. We are on a path. We are moving toward the cross. Our destination is the cross. The culmination of our Lenten journey is not the garden at Easter, even though we wish it was. No, Easter is something totally different. We can no more journey to Easter than we could travel 100,000 miles past the moon. Easter is in another dimension of time and space. Actually, the events of Easter are beyond time and space. It is out of our reach. But that's a different conversation for a different time. Our destination is more earthly, much more real. For better or for worse, our destination is much more painful too. Our destination requires more sacrifice, more surrender. The journey to the cross is a journey full of struggle, including a wrestling match with our greatest foe, ourselves. I bet as we talk about the idea of a journey, the idea of struggles, you were hoping to hear about an enemy to conquer, a stranger who is a threat, a bad guy, a them in a it's me versus them scenario. If you've watched or read anything with a good versus evil theme, you know the type, the big bad, the evil empire, you know. But this time, we are our own worst enemy. And because we are the enemy here, our journey is at least a little bit of an inner journey, which means we easily decide to brush it off as unnecessary. We give it a pass. We say, no thanks, I'm totally fine. I can do this by myself without taking the journey. I'm good here. It is everyone around me that is the problem. If they could get it together, everything would be just fine. So instead of thinking of our journey as starting off with a single step, it might be better to think about it starting with a stumble. We fall down a lot. It's kind of a hallmark of our story. It's how we start our journey of walking. I can't tell you the number of videos I recently deleted from my phone archive of both girls taking a small step and then stumbling. It is almost impossible to learn to take steps without falling into the well-padded ground. Sometimes the learning brings tears, sometimes frustration, sometimes the ground felt like a safer place to be. And then we put off the attempt at walking at all until another day. we all fall down. Any journey that gets us anywhere important is going to include a few stumbles. I told you about my stumbles to finding the best practices of fitness for me. Any journey worth taking involves some false starts, some detours, maybe a lack of resources, maybe some mechanical failure, maybe some pain, maybe some, well, you get it. It's normal to fall down on a journey. And because there are all kinds of things that will go wrong, we ask ourselves, why take the journey at all? If it is going to be arduous, if it's going to hurt, if I'm going to stumble, why should I start at all? How do I know the destination is worth the journey? By taking the first step, we are just asking for pain, exhaustion, humiliation, and why do all of that at the end, if at the end we have to change? Who does that? Who puts themselves in a situation where they will have to wrestle with themselves, where they will end up surrendering, sacrificing, and transforming? Who does that? Were you listening to our gospel text for today? If not, let me read it for you again, this time from the Message. It says, "Next, Jesus was taken into the wilderness by the Spirit for the test. The devil was ready to give it. Jesus prepared for the test by fasting 40 days and 40 nights. That left him, of course, in a state of extreme hunger, which the devil took advantage of in the first test. Since you are God's son, speak the word that will turn these stones into loaves of bread." Jesus answered by quoting Deuteronomy, "It takes more than bread to stay alive. It takes a steady stream of words from God's mouth." For the second test, the devil took him to the holy city. He sat him on top of the temple and said, "Since you are God's son, jump." The devil goaded him by quoting Psalm 91. "He has placed you in the care of angels. They will catch you so that you won't so much as stub your toe on a stone." Jesus countered with another citation from Deuteronomy, "Don't you dare test the Lord your God." For the third test, the devil took him to the peak of a huge mountain. He gestured expansively, pointing out all the earth's kingdoms, how glorious they all were. Then he said, "They're yours, lock, stock, and barrel. Just go down on your knees and worship me, and they're yours." Jesus' refusal was curt. "Beat it, Satan." He backed his rebuke with a third quotation from Deuteronomy. "Worship the Lord your God, and only him. Serve him with absolute single-heartedness." The test was over. The devil left. And in his place, angels. Angels came and took care of Jesus' needs. So who does that? Oh yeah, Jesus. Jesus would go on a journey that starts and ends with struggle, but that's Jesus. What if we look closer? Matthew and Luke both say he was led up. Even in the Message, it says the Spirit took him. Jesus didn't go looking for this. He didn't run to meet it. He shuffled forward to the ashes on Ash Wednesday with the same slumped shoulders as the rest of us. The Gospel of Mark takes it a step further and says that the Spirit drove Jesus to the wilderness, which could elicit an image of Jesus kicking and screaming the whole way. Jesus might have been like we are, saying, "I don't want to take this journey, I don't want to stumble through it." But maybe Jesus knew that this journey was one worth taking, even though it ended at what seemed like a dead end. Even though it ended with a painful betrayal and an agonizing night and a lonely and broken surrender of life on a hill that looked like a skull under a blazing sun that didn't let up until it was too late for him to feel it. But this was Jesus' journey, not ours, right? We don't spend 40 hungry days in a desert hallucinating conversations around impossibilities and sleight of hand, do we? No, of course not. We can't turn stones into bread. That's not even something we consider. But we can turn every hunger into a physical one. and satisfy spiritual needs by stuffing our faces or filling our closets. We can't leap from the highest point of the temple and be caught by angels, but we can leap into habits that cause self-destruction, habits that lead to death more often than not, in the misguided belief that we are immortal as long as we don't think about it. We aren't shown the kingdoms of the world in their splendor and given the keys to these kingdoms if just fall down again. But we believe that we deserve everything and anything our heart desires, in an odd confusion of rights and freedoms. We fall down again and again. The painful realization is that our journey is not just the 40 days of Lent, but is a journey of our entire lives. Every day we are given opportunities to claim the gift of life that has been given to us through Christ, and we fall down. We surrender to our own temptations, to our own selfishness, instead of surrendering to the cross where we can nail all our brokenness and all our falling down. Instead of journeying to the death of self and sin, we wrestle with the enemy inside us, our own willfulness, and we fall down. We believe that Lent is about falling down, about collapsing into tears and remorse and regret, and the overwhelming sense of sinfulness. We seem to think that this is the only way forward. But maybe like Jesus, who we follow, our Lenten opportunity is not to fall down. For once, we can stand in the arms of the one who stood for us. We stand and we walk with Jesus all the way to the cross. So friends, what is it going to be? Are you going to take the first step? Will you take Jesus' hand and take the first step on the road to the cross? It's not a short journey, and no one promises easy, but it is worth taking. Let's walk together. Let's walk with Jesus and spend this Lenten journey traveling to the cross. Amen.